Hello, welcome. I'm gonna rip on Jordan Peterson a little bit. I used to be a admirer. I even got one of his books. And I don't think he's horrible. Like, would I prefer Jordan Peterson or would I prefer a leftist screaming feminist? Yeah, I'm gonna pick Jordan Peterson, but Jordan Peterson presents a unique type of danger. He presents two unique dangers in that one, he appears to be conservative. He appears to be kind of some sensible prophet, for lack of a better word, of the right wing. But if you actually look at the things he really promotes and the presuppositions he operates on, his foundation, it's the same as the liberals. He's just a classical liberal. And that's really what he's feeding men. And you can't really blame me. I'm not a leftist. I'm not someone who's mad at Jordan Peterson because I'm a left-winger and I'm upset that people like Jordan Peterson are giving lip service to young conservative men. And oh no, he's radicalizing people and he's promoting right-wing and he's anti-climate change and all this shit. He's anti-vax and all this. I'm not mad at him for that. No, I'm actually his core demographic. I'm a young, white, conservative. Now, when I say conservative, I don't mean I identify with other conservative, but if I had to describe myself, I'm not a liberal. I'm more conservative. I like lower taxes. I like spending less. I like families. I like stable family units. I'm Christian. Now, there's certain connotations with that, like being a trad cuck and being weak and being a bitch and being a simp, being blue pill. So I'm not those things. And that's the big reason why I don't like Peterson. That's why, that's really what differentiates me from Peterson, is that I'm not a blue pill conservacuck simp. And really what that means and what that ends up being is a liberal in disguise. That's what Peterson is. He LARPs as a Christian. He LARPs as a conservative. Meanwhile, he's hiding all these little implicit things that if you're not paying attention to are diluting real tradition and real masculine value and promoting softness in men. And that's the real danger, is he has this guise of sophistication. He has this guise of profound intellectual value. He's so profound. Everything he says is so profound. Oh my gosh, brilliant. Meanwhile, he's saying like very basic things that any conservative individual should already know. I'll give you a hint, guys. The reason that Jordan Peterson is always, he's so profound, he's so brilliant, is because the reason he always acts like he's discovered this great thing is because deep down, he is a liberal academic. He is a liberal professor, entrenched and raised in academia, raised as a liberal, surrounded by liberals. He thinks like a liberal. He's in the soft sciences. He's a psychologist. Okay? So when he discovers something that conservatives have known for decades, he thinks it's this big discovery. He thinks, it turns out that religion is actually good for people. It's like, yeah, we know that. Okay? Duh. It's actually good if you have a mother and a father in the household. Children outperform other children in all regards if they have two stable parents. Whoa. Truth is objective. Whoa, dude. Yeah, so Peterson acts like this child discovering gravity or discovering the, laws of motion for the first time, and we're all over here adults. We're like, yeah, we knew that. Now, the only reason people like Peterson work is because he is a voice for the young, lost men. He does work, and his messaging does hold value for men who are truly lost. Men who have no responsibility, no direction in life, doing drugs, no foundation for their moral philosophy, no morals, no strong worldview, no masculinity, degeneracy. Those are the type of people that actually need to hear someone like Peterson. I imagine the stereotypical Jordan Peterson follower is A, you have the Ben Shapiro 16-year-old, 120-pound squirt who comes from a Christian background, who has less testosterone than muscle mass. But so there's that. And then there's B, is the degenerate drug addict who doesn't want to be a Christian because they're too lazy and they feel too ashamed. So they supplement that with Jordan Peterson videos. They're sitting there smoking their weed, scratching their tattoo, and they're going, "Oh man, yeah, personal responsibility, bro. Yeah, dude. Oh my god, he's so right, dude. He's like the dad I never had, dude." So it's a bunch of like fatherless degenerates who turn to Peterson for this. It's like the easy prophet. It's like the prophet without any of the religion. You get all the prophetic wisdom, apparent prophetic wisdom, but most of it sophistry. Or it's just not profound. It's just very like, he's just telling you a statistic that should reaffirm something very obvious. But because people are so desperate for moral enlightenment and intellectual hand-holding, and they don't want to turn to religion because they all hate religion, because religion tells them to not be a degenerate. Like if Jordan Peterson actually shamed men for the things he should be shaming men for, like being degenerates. No, instead Jordan Peterson shames men for being narcissists and being psychopaths. Don't be mean to women. You're mean to women. Stop being mean to women. You're a narcissist. You're a psychopath troll. Crying camera. Yep. So I found a stereotypical video. Let's get into the video, guys. That was my little preamble, just to let you know what kind of lens I'm using to analyze Peterson. And yeah, we're just going to go through this. We'll try to go through it quickly, and I'll show you the parts that I like and that I don't like. So let's begin.
It's a really interesting time in my life personally. Your book is called We Who Wrestle with God. And it's my belief and suspicion that there's a lot of people wrestling with God at the moment. And when I say the word God, I don't necessarily mean some man in the sky with a beard. What I really mean is a greater meaning, a greater sense of meaning.
So first problem is two atheists are going to define what God means. I don't mean a man in the sky. I just mean like a general detached sense of meaning, which is definitely how an atheist would. And see how he's trying to seem profound and he's trying to seem like he's being charitable to religion. That's not how religion works. Religion is not something that you're like, oh, I'll take the meaning and the stories, but actually respecting and obeying God, respecting divine authority, no, that's superstition. I'll throw that out because I'm an enlightened atheist and I know better than those stupid, superstitious Christians, but I'm still profound and I'm still so insightful that I'll actually take all their moral lessons and claim them as my own and steal them. We don't need that silly God part though. So this is the two gooner atheists who are not Christian, who don't belong, and they're going to offer their take on God. Okay.
The world feels like, and you speak to this in the book, that it's gotten more and more individualistic, and there's consequence to that.
Fractionated is another way of thinking about it, right? Because you can think about it as individualistic, and that's a positive spin, so to speak, but alienated, isolated, and fractionated is the, what would you say, is the accompaniment.
Look how old he looks, bro. He's getting old, and his speech is slowing down. Also, there was no reason to interject there, I don't really think. You don't need to perfect his language for him. I know you like to be precise with your language, which I can respect to a degree. But why are you correcting his language?
See, I think the case is that the...
Look how red he looks, too. His bro looks like a tomato. What the fuck's going on, dude? He doesn't look healthy. Is he back on the benzos? Like, what's going on?
Experiment in individualism only works when the conservative foundation is in place, right? If you aggregate people together and they share enough fundamental values, especially of a particular sort, then you can concentrate on the individual and individual freedom. But there's a lot of
Well, I kind of see what he's saying. I would agree with, like, you can only afford rights and freedoms, and you can only afford to be parasitized off of by city dwellers who don't really produce anything of value, for the most part. Don't produce food, they don't produce material, they're not doing labor. They're just being like city dwelling weirdos, creating slop, right? Usually creating entertainment or creating business or running banks or doing things that don't actually provide raw value to society. They're just like manipulative professions that sell addictions, or they sell drugs that are overpriced, or they sell fast food that you don't really want, or they sell TV programs that just make your life worse and get you addicted to screens and TV and drugs. So I understand what he's saying in that you need a strong, and he's not wrong, but the way he frames it is incorrect. So he is correct that you need a stable foundation if you want to sustain a group which parasitizes or is harming, stealing from, a burden to the base, like say liberals or city dwellers or degenerates, or you could say rights and freedoms. You could say, oh, feminism. You can only afford as much feminism as the backs of men will be able to handle it. Atlas can only hold so much world. You don't get to have the whole world unless you have a strong Atlas. You don't get to have good times without strong men to uphold those good times, right? So there's tons of analogies that tie back into this, and he's right. However, the problem I have is that the way he's framing it is like we need a stronger balance with the conservative base, such that the conservative base can be stronger in order to enable more parasitism. That's really what he's saying. Is he's saying, oh, if the conservative base was, if it was skewed or tilted back towards the conservative base, we could afford all these rights and freedoms and parasitism. So we just need to shift it slightly. Then we can have the parasite eating our blood and we won't die. Isn't that much better? We can, if we have more blood in our system and we strengthen the human body by working out and being healthy, then we can enable the parasite to leech off us more. Isn't that so nice? Let's do that. We could also just get rid of the parasite. We could also just get rid of the thing that's actively hurting our country and making everything worse. Like, I kind of agree with a little bit of work before play attitude. And I would say with certain rights and freedoms that they are privileges that you earn through victory and through performance. They are a reward. But at the same time, there's other things I would say, like feminism, hyperliberalism, sexual degeneracy, that there's no reason to keep these things around. And the real solution is not just we need a better balance between conservatives and liberals and city dwellers and rural people and religious and a-religious cuckoo nut jobs, such that we can enable our degeneracy if we had a stronger conservative base. Because that's the position of the atheist, is like, we need more of those other conservatives making kids and producing labor and running farms and having lots of kids for us to turn gay. We need more of them to be stronger. So let's help them out. It's like the leech is like semi-self-aware and he's going, this body is not going to sustain itself. It's going to drop dead. But I need all this blood. So why don't I help the human host be healthier so that I can parasitize off it more and sustain our little relationship we have going. So they admit that it's a parasite and that too much of the parasite is a negative thing. But then they say, well, let's keep the parasite, but let's just skew the ratio a little bit back to something sustainable for the host. So like, oh, okay. Not get rid of the parasite. So that lets you know what team they're on. They're not on team, let's radically transform our culture such that we're not promoting degeneracy. Let's not actually become Christian and uphold moral values and get rid of these cities and push people away from them entirely. Like, why not just cut out all the bad things entirely? Why not? Why do we always have to soft shoe cultural change? So that would be what I say to that.
Conditions for that. And the Scottish liberals, so the ones who really established Western liberalism as a philosophical and political movement, they knew that. It was individual liberty, Judeo-Christian substructure.
Judeo-Christian. So yeah, there's no such thing as Judeo-Christian. It's not a real thing. Anyone telling you that is a little conservative cuck, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro watching. Cuckold, it's not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's made up by Jews. It's smuggled into the language. It's the little Judeo is leeching and lurching, and it's attached itself to the word Christian. No, we're on your team too. No, there were none of you guys. There were no Jews in America building America until post World War II. They didn't even exist in the country. We wouldn't let them into the country. We were one of the 109 countries or whatever. Is it 109? Or is it 105? Yeah, 109. Okay. Yeah, so fucking shit like that pisses me off.
And that was an assumption. Now, the problem...
Oh, and he's called to ban free speech for anyone saying anything anti-Semitic. So, Mr. Ma free speech, Mr. Ma Bill C11 or C16 or whatever the fuck it was, that he got famous off of by, wailing and debating students on campus for, free speech, we have to let people say what they want, The people who get to define hate speech are the ones you'll find out who actually just hate speech. He had some tweet like that. So real rich, Mr. Peterson, I'm going to do my whole thing about free speech and make a bunch of shekels, make a bunch of money off that. And then as soon as it becomes convenient and soon as I feel a certain way about it, as soon as I get emotional about a particular issue, well then get rid of free speech. Okay, very principled, very nice. The atheist doesn't have principles. Why am I surprised?
With modern liberalism is that underlying foundation has become extremely shaky, and everyone feels it. That's what the culture wars.
Oh, everyone. Men mostly.
That fact is
like men are never allowed to have their due. We're just never allowed to have our due. It's always, but women too. But women too. Women have it hard. No, fuck you. It's men's. Men are taking the brunt of this. We are the ones who are unable to feed ourselves. We don't get Social Security. We don't get family court money. We don't get immigrant money. Like, it's shit like that. It's just a little shit like that where you're like, they won't say men. They won't say men. They'll never defend men.
Fractionated liberal experiment. Partly because we have the wrong conception of identity, fundamentally. Identity is a hierarchical structure. So we kind of think that you end at your boundaries as an individual, but you don't, because, well, you're probably not going to want to be alone. So then let's say you're married. Okay, so now you're...
And nice how he says the only dichotomy between... Well, he didn't say it, but it's implied, is that you can't... the only alternative to being alone is married. It's like, no. You don't. You guys don't have to get married. If you guys, and you're listening, you're an atheist, don't get married. Sincerely, do not get married. The only reason you should get married is if you want to have kids, and you really, really care about having a stable, strong family, or if you believe in it for religious reasons. But if you're thinking about yourself, and you're thinking about what's best for you, and I don't just mean in a greedy way, I mean in genuinely, what's best for you, don't get married. Do not get married unless you really, really care about your kids and you really, really want to give them a stable household, then do not get married. And there are other alternatives, solutions, life paths that don't involve marriage. So don't let these conservatives just trick you into thinking that marriage is this false dichotomy. It's the end-all be-all.
Identity as a husband, that's a social identity. And then you have an identity as a father. That's a social identity. Then you have an identity as a...
Well, okay, but he hasn't really established that it's a... This is what I was going to say, but I let him talk. I think identity is a social thing. It can't possibly be an individual thing. It has to be a social thing because it's comparative. Your identity is comparative. Me as like a welder. Let's say I'm a welder. Me as a welder. Well, I'm only a welder in the sense that other people aren't welders. I'm only a human in the sense that other species aren't humans, right? So the very definition to my identity is a comparison, which means ultimately we share some kind of social aspect or social bond between other people who share the identity and some kind of relationship to the other people who don't. Some antagonistic relationship. I'm not a tree, so me and a tree have some kind of antagonistic relationship based on our identity. And I'm a human, so I have some kind of social bond or relationship with other humans, me being a human. And then, yeah, you could say there's other types of relationships, like your identity from person to person. Me as a... I'll let him speak because he's kind of saying it, but he didn't really say how it was necessarily hierarchical. He's just talking about how it's social.
A member of your community, and a member of your city, and a member of your state, and a member of your nation. And then...
And a member of your race? Oh, he won't say that. A member of your... Yeah, it's like he paused. It's like he knew. I swear he knew. He just didn't say it. A member of your race? We're going to talk about that? No? Oh, you're not allowed to have that.
You're involved in a metaphysical endeavor that
These sophists.
constitutes the foundation for the nation, let's say. That would be one nation under God. That's one way of thinking about it. Or you could think about it as the self-evident truths that underlie the state. Your identity exists at all those levels. And then your mental health isn't something you carry around in your head. It's the harmony that exists or doesn't exist between all those levels.
That's a very Eastern perspective. I mean, and I don't know why he's bringing in mental health. I don't know how that's related to this whole equation. Kind of aligning these various hierarchies to create harmony. That's a very like chakra, Buddhist, Eastern philosophy type idea. Fair enough, whatever. Okay, he's just like autistically spurging about his like theory on, and now he's bringing in mental health for whatever reason. Okay.
And that isn't how liberal individualists think about identity at all. And that's because they were, for a long time, fortunate enough so all those other strata were in place.
So where do we find ourselves now if we don't have that hierarchy?
And yeah, this is kind of true. It's that like what all these feminists and all these people push for in terms of their rights, they were just completely relying on and taking advantage of the stable foundation that the actual conservative family having moral upholding base was doing, not realizing that the movements that they were pushing for were just eroding the base that was enabling them. It's like a woman who like wants to fight back against her oppressive husband or her oppressive father, and it's like, okay, but the father is enabling and supporting your life, and even you rebelling is being supported and enabled by him. Like nothing happens without the will of the father. Like literally, that's what the Bible means, right? Nothing happens without the will of the father. So, the liberals and the feminists could not do their little shenanigans and shit without help from their conservative base to get resources and money.
Placed by all those layers and sort of social and, I guess, family identities.
Adrift in a storm alone.
Like okay, here's like women would not be able to make money and play girl boss if men did not create functioning economies and functioning companies for women to play house in, or play dollhouse in, play Barbie in. They're literally LARPing. Like women don't actually provide economic value in most jobs. Not really. They're just there to fill positions and fill roles, and they're not go-getters. They don't produce a ton of value, and they're not out making tons of sales and making tons of money and actually bringing super value to the company. No, they're just literally playing. It's like Barbie, bro. It's like you pick up the doll, you walk it through the house. Oh, look at me, I'm getting in my Barbie car now. Oh, dee. Oh, it's so fun. And they're playing dollhouse. Same as like a 3-year-old. They're just LARPing. And they wouldn't be able to do that if there wasn't a bunch of men working for these companies, actually doing the ingenuity, actually doing the hard decisions, actually doing the hard, brutal stuff, actually enduring all the stress. creating a multinational global empire such that feminists can get their little paycheck, which they don't really earn, in my opinion. That just really just comes from our taxes and just really comes from other men's wages. That's a big reason why the wages have stagnated, is because women are actually taking your pay. Like, there should be a gender pay gap, actually, but the fact that there's not, and this whole gender pay gap thing, it's actually meaning that women are getting paid more than they should be. They shouldn't be getting equal pay. They should be getting way less. There should be a gender pay gap. I'm mad that there's not a gender pay gap, actually. Like, that's where I'm at, right? That's the difference between me and someone like a conservative. A conservative would be like, I'm not racist. We're not sexist. I'm like, we should be more sexist. Women don't earn as much as men. Why are they getting paid the same as much as men? They fucking suck at their job. They don't actually provide value. There's like 4 industries where they actually produce value. It's like hospitality, nursing, it's like midwife, or one of those ones, surrogacy maybe. Anything like childbirth, child rearing, child care. What was the other one? It was like sex work and beauty. Yeah. Those are the only 4 industries where women actually produce something of value that generates money. It's sex and beauty, server, so like restaurant, hospitality, that kind of thing, nurse. But even then, I'd say a male nurse is still better. Women have just kind of dominated that space and made it a feminine thing for no real reason. History, I guess, but still, there's no real reason for it to be women. There's nothing women have that makes them better nurses. It's just they are nurses. So, but other than that, women don't actually make money, and I'm different from a conservative in that I think there should be more discrimination, because women don't make as much, they don't earn as much, and that should be reflected in their paychecks.
So, look, here's an interesting fact. So, psychologists who are statistically minded, they're called psychometricians. They're psychologists who are obsessed, research psychologists who are obsessed with measurement and concept definition, spent a lot of time aggregating concepts. These were, in some ways, what they were doing was equivalent to the development of early...
What is bro talking about? Very slow.
Psychologists were at the forefront of that on the statistics.
It looks really unhealthy. Looks really old.
Words that we use to describe people clump together. So, for example, if you're extroverted, you're social and you're happy, you're enthusiastic. Okay, so those clump together. If you're anxious, you also tend to be frustrated.
What's bro yapping about?
Empathic criminals. We're so social that you can take the most antisocial human beings imaginable, so psychopathic criminals,
Everything's about psychopaths.
and you can punish them by putting them in solitary confinement.
Damn.
That's how social
Damn, bro.
beings are. And so
We live in a society, bro.
it's way more dependent on your nesting within a social structure than on your, say, the internal coherence.
He didn't really prove how it's a structure.
In fact, I think it's
Or how it's hierarchical.
all dependent on the internal consistency of the coherence of your belief systems. It's more like, does anyone like you?
Oof.
Do you have any friends? Do you have anyone that loves you?
No bitches.
Or more, or maybe even more profound.
These are like very surface level like questions. These are like, he sounds like a psychologist, you know what I mean? He thinks he can boil down the science of the human mind down to a few questionnaires and a few polling questions. It's like, so there's nothing more fundamental under the surface of the human psychology other than what random data that these scientists aggregate from the void, like, or these random questionnaires or random words you use to describe your personality, like extroverted or conscientious. Or it's not a real science. It's because it's all polling. There's no breakdown the same way you would do like physics. There's no formulas. There's no strata. There's no substrata to really like analyze beyond a bunch of words that people have invented to mean certain things. Like, its predictive power is very shaky and weak. in the sense that if you give me psychometrics about an individual, you can't guarantee the outcome. Not really. We're not rats. It's not like you can, guarantee the rat will pull the bar. As soon as I do this, the rat will guaranteed pull the bar. It's like, you can't do that with humans. They're not deterministic. So they're not a real science. These psychologists, soft science people, they operate in a completely different realm. So, yeah, it's not like computer logic gates or electricity or physics or rocket science. Like, this is a very... It completely gets reflected when you just look at the way he talks. He's like, well, do you have any friends? It's like, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean, Peterson?
Are there people for whom you make sacrifices? Right? That's a very... It's relevant to the topic of this book.
It's like very surface level. Oh, I'm so profound. Is there anyone you'd make a sacrifice for? It's like, yeah, okay. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Like, okay. It's just not very profound, but it's on such a surface level because the psychology, the soft sciences can't actually dive into the intricate, deep details of a real science. So they have all these like surface level conversations within the science. And because we have like YouTube idiots who watch Peterson and think he's their intellectual grandfather, they hear all this surface level stuff and they're able to kind of catch that and they're able to interpret that and hear that. Because if I start as like a computer scientist talking about logic design and you're like, I have no clue what he's talking about. I don't know what this gate is. I don't know what a XOR gate is or a NOR gate or multi-threading or parallel programming, or you're not going to know what any of these things mean because it's a real science. Because you can't just explain it in this kind of normative realm, which is what Peterson and these psychologists talk about. But it's awesome because dumb idiots who don't know anything listen to it and it sounds profound. It sounds deep, but really it's basically just sophistry. It's just word games that a bunch of women invented.
Obviously,
It's not that deep. It's not that impressive.
Stories that I'm detailing in this book, most of them are Old Testament stories. The relationship with the divine is a sacrificial relationship. The divine is that to which sacrifice is directed. Well, if you get married, it's a sacrificial offering because you sacrifice potential relationship with all other women to that woman.
Look at that little face he made.
Potential relationship with all other women.
Look how gay this guy looks. I swear this guy's a closeted homosexual. Didn't always have to be that way. You could have multiple wives. That is a semi-recent invention. Muslims don't do that. Right? So, I don't know. I don't think this... So he's talking about sacrifice, and a marriage is a sacrifice. And he's just, you can see his brain. If you actually follow the track of his conversation, you're not just ingesting the word salad and just like Pac-Man eating the little slew of dots that comes from this guy's butthole. You see that it's just kind of fractured. It makes no sense. So he's talking about the divine being sacrificed, and now he's talking about marriage being a sacrifice. It's like, okay, so what are you saying? Like, marriage is the divine? What the fuck? Sacrifice is an integral part of reality, yeah. Okay, yeah, duh. What are you trying to say, dude?
To that woman.
What does one do on an individual level?
Also, that's pretty dumb. That's a pretty dumb way to frame marriages. The whole point of marriage being men to like sacrifice their sexual options to one woman. It's like, it's very simpy. That's like a simp way to look at it. It's not really, I wouldn't say that's a defining attribute of a marriage. I'd say it's protection, provision, and it's setting up a foundation for kids. I think that's a man's role. I actually don't think sexual fidelity is really, I don't think it's that foundational as a man. I think for a woman it's more foundational. And yeah, will he talk about women? Will he talk about women will he talk about the sacrifice women need to commit for marriage? Nope, only men. You have to sacrifice all your options to women, to all other women. Okay, are you going to talk about what women need to do, how they need to be virgins? Oh, he won't talk about what women need to do because the Bible says, he loves to talk about the Bible so much. Bible says they need to be virgins. Yeah, you're not going to talk about that because that would be inconvenient to all your normative little idiots out there who don't want to actually be told what to do in society. Yeah, so you'll never hear him talk about what women need to do for marriage. And if he actually talked about what the Bible actually says about marriage, yeah, it's not a pretty picture. You have a bunch of expectations, and people sometimes got arranged marriages. Some people were sold off as slaves. Sometimes you married your slave. Sometimes not too pretty things happened in the Bible. So he's not going to talk about any of the actual details. He's just going to keep it up in this very soft sounding, very interesting, oh, it's a profound relationship with the divine and it's all about sacrifice and it's like, yeah, let's leave out all the actual meaningful details of the Bible that might not be appealing to our degenerate fan base.
Find themselves in such a society where individualism has taken
Look at this guy.
And they can't necessarily easily
Another
change
gay.
society.
Another queer.
Are there day to day?
This guy looks so weird. He looks like a he's the Minecraft block guy. He looks like a Minecraft dirt block.
Collective, I guess, sense of responsibility.
I do not look like a Minecraft dirt block.
Finds himself as being a lonely person.
What's with all these interviewers? Do you find the interviewers all have the same personality? They all have this like basic bitch, kind of masculine, not really. Like they look like a gay CEO. Your shirt's way too small. You got a really, and it's the neck on that's really weird. Why don't you get like a normal neck? Why is it like super tight around your neck? Very weird. Anyway, I don't want to look at this guy's face.
Well, one of the things you do with disagreeable people who are more inclined by temperament to be competitive and attain victory for themselves is one of the exercises you can do with disagreeable people. If you're a disagreeable extrovert, you tend to be narcissistic. And the problem with that, technically, is that you alienate people. And the problem with that is, well, you're hypersocial. So if you alienate people, then you don't have anyone. And not only is that lonesome, but it's also extremely impractical. I mean, you certainly, and no doubt, learn this more as you become successful. It's like you need a team, and the more tightly knit it is, and the more you're all working in the same direction, the better everything works.
So who's this guy? Diary of a CEO, 10 million subs. Let's investigate this guy.
3 to 75%.
Shut the fuck up. I mean, CEO doesn't mean anything. It just means you own a company. He has a book. Aw, you retard. Mr. Beast. Okay. Simon Cowell. Okay, so he's like total Hollywood normie. Oh, we got Seth Rogen. Nice. Okay, so he's like a Hollywood sexual. Always look into someone's left eye. That's retarded. Learn to seduce anyone. Yeah, these are like total normie weirdos. Like, what does being a CEO mean? It means nothing. Entrepreneur. What does that mean? What company do you run? Lol, he dropped out of school. Hilarious. Okay, what would you actually do? You have a course. 2010, he drops out of school. Investor. A media marketing investment company. Shopify, Coinbase. He just seems like a day trader who made like a bunch of money. Or he seems like a drop shipper. He's like one of these like pseudo, like not really a real CEO. He just does like drop shipping. Yeah, he has a fucking book. Of course he has a fucking book. No, fuck these guys and their stupid websites. Why are all black guys wearing earrings? Why do all black guys wear earrings? Just tell me you're a metrosexual without telling me you're a metrosexual. That makes me upset. Anyway.
not useful to be a narcissist.
I just like to know the people that I'm roasting.
What you want right now.
So maybe he's secretly a billionaire and he earned it all himself by scraping rice.
Okay, so what do? Well, instead of thinking about what you want, or even thinking about how to strategize in relationship to
Those are the fucking badass guys that I like. The Japanese farmer who fucking started a rice business. And then he went from tilling rice to like owning all of the rice fields in all of Japan and making $18 trillion. Some shit like that. Do they actually have rice fields in Japan? Am I a dumbass? Yes, many rice fields. Okay, I'm not retarded. Don't worry, guys.
you might think about what you could do for other people, or you could think about what you would do if you only did what was true and right. Those are very different orientations. Right? And the religious orientation fundamentally is the orientation toward what is true and right. And you might say, well, I don't know what's true and right.
Not really. I mean, it's reducing God to being what is true and right. Oh, it's just trueness and rightness. Who defines truth? Who defines what's right? Yeah. Oh, suddenly that statement doesn't really encapsulate enough. It doesn't mean enough. You need actual definitions for what's right and true, and that should be encapsulated under God. Oh, that's the real definition.
Yeah, kind of. Because
See what I mean, though? Like, these dumb atheists are always trying to reduce religion down to some concept. It's just about truth, bro. Religion is just about truth and being right. Oh, who defines truth? Is truth objective? Is it subjective? What do you mean right? Where do we define our morals? So he says right as though it's simple. It's just simple, bro. It's just about truth, epistemology, and it's just about doing what's right. So all of ethics. Nice. That doesn't make it complicated at all. You didn't just like open up a giant can of worms trying to discuss epistemology and ethics. That's the majority of all philosophy. Nice. And nope, super simple.
knowledge is bounded and we're ignorant. So do we understand the nature of the highest good? Well, no. But it's a very rare person who doesn't know some of the time when they're doing something wrong.
Looks really gay. That's a really gay face. Looks creepy. Looks like he's about to touch me. What the fuck?
And it's also a non-existent person who doesn't have some concept of the good because you can't act.
Like, what is this word salad? Well, you generally know some... Dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is your philosophical pundit. This is your great-grandpappy intellectual... Yes, daddy, I'm an irresponsible little drug addict. I need to be better. This is your dad. This is your father figure that you cry to on the internet. You write emails to and you go pay money for his shows. Really? This guy, he's saying a bunch of like meaningless word salad. It's not profound. He's like, well, generally people know a little bit about what's right. Okay. Nice, dude. Okay, so what does that mean?
Without a concept of the good. Because you act towards a goal you deem desirable. So that's up. I mean, unless you're trying to make your life worse, and people do that from time to time, but believe that is an exception. I mean, you have to have descended into hell in a way before.
Oh, hell! I thought you were an atheist. So you don't believe in hell. So don't appropriate our language and our belief structure if you don't actually believe in hell. So try a different word. Try the quantum goop. You descend into the quantum goop. Isn't that what you guys believe in? Atheists believe in some quantum, the collapse of the Big Bang at the end of the universe or some dumb shit.
You're in a situation where you're actively working to make your own life worse. That can't happen. But assuming that you're relatively well embedded in the realm of the normal, then you're moving towards something better, always.
He's so red.
Because otherwise there's no motivation. We know this technically. This isn't even disputable. So
see what he's trying to do too? He's trying to reduce any like moral lessons or moral philosophy down to these like dumb normative statements. People pursue what's good. So everyone knows a little bit about what good is because we all pursue what's good, right? Yeah, if you actually say what Jordan Peterson says in a simple voice and like take all the affluent language out of it, simplify the point to simple sentences, and speak like a retard, and you realize, oh, none of this is actually that profound at all. It's actually very basic.
Systems that make you enthusiastic, so that fill you with the desire to move towards a goal, independent of fear, say, because you can move towards a safety goal because you're afraid. But imagine you're trying to accomplish something. You have a goal. The positive emotion systems operate to track progress to the goal. Positive emotion is a consequence
Goal
of
fulfillment.
evidence of movement towards that desire.
Yeah, this is kind of true. Yeah, I mean, this is semi-useful advice, semi-useful framing that most people don't know. But he didn't even really say it properly, which is that if you were going to then make it profound, you would say something like, happiness, therefore, is a consequence of moving towards your goals. It's not a state that you can achieve. It's a reward you get by progressing in the correct direction. So it's not a static thing that you can sit on. Oh, I found the happiness spring. I'm going to drill down and just collect all the happiness. No, it's something that you get. It's something that you get like continuously, non-statically by pursuing your goals. So yeah, this is kind of useful, and people don't really get this, I guess.
Cool. Okay, so now you have a proximal goal. Like our proximal goal right now might be just to, like in the most micro level possible, might be to
Have sex.
display
Get
facial
sexual
signs of
favors.
interest in the conversation, right? It's very micro.
Manipulate our facial expressions to seem cool. I don't know.
Cool. But then that's nested in our desire to have an interesting conversation on the topic we're having right now, and then inside the podcast.
Look at those little eyebrows, bro. Like, what are you, what are you doing, bro? You're so serious. Like, why so serious? Like, what's going on with you? It's just cute. It's like, what are you doing, Peterson?
And then as part of the podcast enterprise that you're involved in, as part of the book enterprise, let's say, that I'm involved in, that's nested inside our view of the world, right? So,
Whoa.
you see, there are nestings of the good that have no upper limit. That's
Whoa.
Jacob's ladder, by the way. And at the top of that,
Yeah, he's kind of right. A little bit. But this is more like, let's use religion as a alibi for my psychology theory. And that's the only credit we give religion, is it's a tool, it's an aid, it's a primary source for his bonko theory.
good itself, which is the divine.
Like, let's reference the Bible anytime I want to make a Spurg claim and try to use the Bible to validate and give historical precedence and credence to my point. He's weaponizing the Bible to basically to give himself credence. He's just stealing it to make his points look better. Fuck the rest of the religion. And I thought you were an atheist. You don't even believe in the Bible, so why would you reference something you don't even believe, right?
It's the purpose.
Divine. What do you mean by that?
Oh,
That's a definition.
that's a good question. That's actually a good. What do you mean by divine? I thought you were an atheist. What the hell does divine mean to you? That's actually a really good question. That's another word you shouldn't really be using if you're an atheist. What the hell does divine mean? What is divine referring to? Good question.
That's what I mean. Is that
Hello.
in the higher? That's a definition. That's what I mean. Is that in the hierarchy of what's good, the divine is the peak. Right. Now, we don't know what that is.
Yeah. We don't know what that is. Yep.
It's also an insistence in the biblical texts, by the way. In the final analysis, the divine.
Well, it's God, right? God is the divine. Yeah, you don't know everything about God, but you know who God is. Like, there are many mysteries, but just because they're mysteries doesn't mean we can't attribute them to God. Doesn't mean that we don't know anything about them.
It's ineffable. It's not definable. And it's beyond you. And that's partly because there's a practical reason for that. Even.
That's like saying we can't know anything about God because we don't know everything about God. That's just a shitty position, and it's like trying to undermine the things we do know simply because we don't know everything, simply because there's mysteries. It's like saying, even the Christians admit that they don't know everything about God. See, ooh.
You know this as well. As you move towards a goal, let's say you attain a goal. Okay, now you've accomplished. Well, are you done? It's like, no, a new potential goal emerges, a new pinnacle. And then maybe you'll accomplish that.
Doesn't always have to. I mean, I could just have a goal like, I want to reach 3 plates on the bench press, and then I'll just hold that goal. I don't know. There's actually like a new zenith doesn't necessarily unlock. I can just have a goal. I fulfill the goal, and then we're done. That's actually kind of how my life is structured. It's like I want to have a healthy family with kids, and then like I have concrete defined goals that don't plan to move at all because you're limited. You're limited in what you can do in this life. So just create a realistic goal and then just set that goal and then just fulfill it and then be done. And be like, all right, I had my 7 kids. I had my wife and she was nice to me and she was great. She was a good wife. Had my kids, had my family, did everything right, did a good career, helped the world. All right, now we're done. I'm going to go retire and go out into the woods. Goodbye.
Then a new one exists. And so you could say that the domain of opportunity is limitless. Right. Because the thing that's at the pinnacle recedes as you approach it. And you could say that's a technical definition of God, which is accurate. That is a technical definition.
I don't think that's a very good one. I also don't think it's accurate. I don't see really how goals and like normative aspirations, like I want a car, now I want 2 cars, now I want 100 cars, I don't think you get to God from that. So I disagree with framing God as some infinitum ad infinitum, some asymptote of goals. I disagree with that. Because I don't think you can derive divinity from the normative. I think that's like a what is that called? Let's ask ChatGPT really quickly. It's dualist, I believe. Yeah, it's dualist. Yeah. Let's have a look. Platonism. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Platonism. Yep. Yeah, Taoist. There we go. So yeah, I'm not a Taoist. I don't believe you can just generate poop. I don't think you can take a bunch of poop and then take the zenith of the poop and generate God. You know? So I don't think divinity, that's almost like the Tower of Babylon, is that if we just build up high enough with our human crap, we can reach God. And God's like, no, you can't. That's pride. So this is Intellectual Pride by Peterson.
God is the good towards which all goods point. These are definitions.
I mean, yes, but is that a holistic definition? I mean, that's one way to look at it, but that'd be like saying a lamp is a thing that is heavy. It's like, sure, or it's like a lamp is a thing with with a power cord. It's like, sure. Or you could say, what's it like saying? It's like saying a house is a big box with a roof. You could be like, sure, but is that really what it is? Does that encapsulate what it's supposed to do? What it's for? Why we built it? Is that the best definition we could use? Is that a good definition? I mean, is that a charitable definition to how someone of faith would view God? I mean, you don't believe God exists. So what's this point even speculating about God and what God's supposed to mean to Christians if A, you're not looking at it from the Christian lens, which is the appropriate lens to look at it from, and B, you don't even believe in God yourself. So why would you speculate on something that doesn't even exist? That's absurd.
Again, remember, they're not proclamations of faith, they're definitions. So we obviously all believe that all good things share something in common, because otherwise we wouldn't have the category good. And
that's mentally retarded. Oh, that's mentally retarded. I mean, sure, but whatever.
All believe that there are rank orders of good, because otherwise everything good would be equally worth pursuing. No one believes that. So there's a rank order. Well, if there's a rank order,
Well, he didn't explicate that very well. He didn't show how there's a rank order. I kind of agree, but he didn't like show how. Oh, look, this thing is good, but this thing is better. You know, it's nice if you pursue. It's nice if you give someone some flowers, but it's way better if you, save someone's life or give them, if you build an orphanage or something, right? And I would actually use this point to say why, like, normative conservatism is not enough. Just like, oh, baseline anti-woke, anti-feminist, that's not enough. So he's kind of right, and I would use that point of, like, there actually is hierarchy of values and goods. And I would say, like, being Christian is much higher up and more important on the list than whether you're like some little right-wing Daily Wire watching goober.
towards some end or
It's not good enough, basically. It's not good enough to be just red pill or just right-wing. It's not good enough. You need to demonstrate obedience to he who owns the entire universe. You're in his universe. You're on his land. You need to respect his authority. He owns this entire damn planet. Show him a little respect.
Also think about it as a foundation. Depends on which metaphorical landscape you want to inhabit. Then the question becomes, how do you characterize that which is the ultimate aim, that which is and should be the ultimate?
Where does the atheist get his ethics anyway? Where does he get the concept of good and bad? I mean, if we're all just evolutionary creatures, then how do you know we're not just operating based off of some kind of evolutionary impulse and some aggregate of proclivities and avoidances? How do you even know there's any real meaningful concept of good and evil that exists as some objective thing outside the human experience? How do you know that? 'Cause that's what I would lead to believe you believe in. That's what I would think you believe in as the atheist. So on what grounds are you saying that, basically? I'm like, someone like Peterson doesn't really have the grounds to make these kinds of claims. He just assumes a lot of things that you only really get to have if you're a Christian. The idea that there's an objective good, there's objective truth. There's kind of like a natural hierarchy to these metaphysical concepts. Where do you get hierarchy?
Ultimate. Well, the stories on which our culture is predicated
Stories.
characterize that in story.
Do you think many people have an ultimate aim in their mind?
They do whether they know it or not.
What do you mean?
That's actually, that's a fair point. I don't even think most people really operate like that. I don't think people have a zenith of aspiration. And I think most of them never will.
So like the average person listening to this now, are they conscious at all of what they're...
No, but it's implicit.
Okay.
He thinks that. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure it's implicit. I don't think it is. I think there's a lot of people who don't even have that implicitly. And I don't always think that there is an implicit set of directions. Like if you're an atheist and you think humans are just the only reason you're pursuing hunger and the only reason you're pursuing thirst, you could argue it ultimately aims at survival. You could definitely make that claim, but then what do you put above that? I mean, some people don't even really care about survival. They just care about pleasure, or they just care about reacting to their immediate environment. They're not making meaningful, ordered, hierarchically structured decisions. Because you can eat food and drink water in one breath, and you can smoke marijuana and get fat in the other breath, right? And do drugs in the other breath. So very complicated. And I feel like if you're going to somehow say that those are all pursuing one goal, first of all, you haven't defined what that goal is, and then that's a pretty weak claim. I feel like you're mostly just kind of grasping at straws. It's not well substantiated that everyone's goals is directed at some higher goal. And it's even weird for you to say that as an atheist. It's like you want to adopt the philosophical brilliance and the divine transcendence of religion without actually adhering to the rules and placing yourself within the group of the religious and ostracizing yourself and denouncing other religions and atheism.
The psychoanalytic thinkers insisted on, Carl Jung in particular, was that everybody acts out a story.
And always Carl Jung, so it's about Freud, so it's about Jung. I'm sick of Jung, I'm sick of Freud, I'm sick of these Jewish, like, fucking psycho weirdos.
Sometimes it's a tragic story, sometimes it's the story of hell. Like, you're trapped in a story, one way or another. Now, do you
Whoa, dude, we're trapped in the story, dude. Well, dude, it's like a storybook, bro. See what I mean? Dude, whoa, you're in story, dude. We're living like a story, man. Someone could write a book about me taking a shit and getting blow behind the 7-Eleven, dude. Dude, that girl behind that 7-Eleven who gave me blow, bro. Gave me blow in brain. Dude. That's like a story. That just belongs in a story. Belongs in a story, dude.
Story? No.
Dude, Jordan Peterson's so profound, dude. Dude, no, he's like my father I never had. 'Cause my father was a gay faggot.
Sure, I mean, people are often very bad at describing themselves. They don't know what they're up to. That doesn't mean they're not up to something.
They're up to something. He sounds like a boomer. You know how like granny boomers will like not say anything while saying words. They'll say words and they'll imply things, but they won't actually say any of it. Oh, he's up to something, that guy. He looks like he's not up to something, but he's up to something. I saw him up this morning, and I just looked over there, and I was like, he's up to... That's him right now. He's just word salading. Like, speak English, bro.
Also think about them as the battleground between warring stories.
Like, this... And Jordan Peterson is really annoying. He does this intellectual habit where he will take a statement... He'll then just throw it out onto the table. He won't explicate it. He won't tie it back in. He won't finish it or explain what it's supposed to mean. He'll just throw it out onto the table. He'll be like, well, everyone has a story. And, you know, that's not nothing. And like, he'll do that. He'll just, like, leave things out on the table and he'll not tie them into some... point. He won't assert like meaning, but he'll just like implicitly, hey, look, this is cool. You're part of a story. And it's like he leaves the gooner, degenerate, low IQ but high enough IQ to postulate and insert themselves, insert their narrative here, insert their interpretation here, without him actually asserting any particular belief or position, because then he'd have to defend it. So he just kind of like leaves it. He's like leftists in that way, in that he'll just vaguely gesture towards an idea. That's really what he's doing, and he won't follow through on what that's supposed to mean or what that definitively communicates.
That just means they're fractionated in their psyche. They're being pulled in many directions.
Just say
Someone said to me actually yesterday, they said
fractionized. Just say fractured, bro. Like, use English.
the way to understand your self-narrative or your self-story is to answer the question, if you were a character, a fictional character, who would you be? And in that, you figure out whether
So
you're
gay.
a sort of hero,
I'm Harry Potter.
you're a victim. So I'll ask you that question.
Yeah, right?
I'm Gandalf.
Which fictional
I'm
character
so
would you be?
wise.
Christian Grey.
Bugs Bunny.
No, you're not funny enough.
Yeah, what's up, Doc? Yeah, what's up, faggot? Yeah.
Fuck you, faggot. Who's Jordan Peterson? I'm not big on stories and movies, and that's just kind of boring to me. He's like Iron Man. He's like if Iron Man was a philosopher, like Tony Stark was a philosopher. Who does he remind me of? Who does Jordan Peterson remind me of? Everyone's gonna, he's Gandalf, bro. He's the wise old man. No, he's not the wise old man. He's the gay old man. He's like, I don't know any old characters. He's like Dr. Doofenshmirtz if he was like a philosopher.
Ah, yes. Perry the Platypus. Let me talk about my evil capitalist plan to sell mild Jewish conservatism to the public. I'm Jordan Peterson. Time to raise a single mother daughter. I'm going to talk about responsibility while raising a single mother with herpes.
Bugs Bunny's a trickster character. Right, so. Yeah.
I'm the Joker. I'm the Joker. I'm Batman. I'm the Joker. No, it was a bit queer, actually. Actually, it was a bit queer. I'm tempted to end it here because it's just really queer. Silly old man character in television. Grandpa Simpson. He's like Jenkins, that's right. The Family Guy. He's like Mr. Magoo. That's right, he is. He's like Mr. Magoo. That's hilarious. No, he just likes to. He's a sophist. This guy is a total sophist.
You ever read The Idiot?
No.
Yeah, well, I'm probably half idiot and half Raskolnikov.
True, you are, and you made that in a self-deprecating way, but that's actually your conscience coming out, trying to warn you, trying to say what I'm saying. But I'm just an anonymous Twitter troll, and I'm just here to troll, and I'm an evil psychopath. That's what he thinks. Anyone who criticizes Jordan Peterson, oh, you're an evil psychopath troll, and we need to ban your anonymity and get rid of your Twitter account. Let me cry online. Do not take advice from someone who raises a single mother, who bangs Andrew Tate before he was famous, who has HPV, who's a physical and mental wreck, who's actually pretty low IQ. Like, she's pretty dumb. Although it could just be because she's a woman. I don't know. But she's not really that interesting, actually. She's actually not that profound or intellectual, which shows that maybe the genes she has, maybe the genetics of Jordan Peterson aren't actually that intellectually profound or impressive. And then his wife didn't take his last name. What's up with that? And then he's addicted to benzos. He can't get up in the morning. And then he's secretly a liberal. And then he's an atheist. And then he's everything in between. So yeah, I kind of just dissected everything. I was just attacking him, everything he said. And yeah, there's some stuff he says that's good. Like, there's nothing wrong with like saying pursue meaning and make sacrifice and pursue what's good, but a lot of it is sophistry. A lot of it is trying to interpret the Bible from an atheistic lens, which is an inappropriate reference point, because he would understand that if you're reading literature, you're supposed to interpret it and read it from a appropriate angle or appropriate lens from which it is to be interpreted. You can't read Shakespeare as though it were a sci-fi novel, because it's just not going to make sense. That's not the mode in which it's trying to be communicated. The Bible is not some kind of atheistic guidebook for morals. Hey bro, just be an atheist and do these 10 things and your life's going to be better. Peace out. I'm Jesus. No, that's not what it's about. It's not what the Bible is about. The Bible is not some atheistic mythology or story on human nature. There's human nature in it, and there's, reprimands and stories about human nature, but reducing the Bible to just being some ancient manuscript describing human nature is disingenuous. It's disingenuous to the messaging of the Bible. It's disingenuous to the way it understands itself, and it needs to be read. It's meant to be interpreted as a holistic, divine piece of scripture. Divinely inspired from God himself. It's a story about human salvation through Christ. It's a story of the Jews in the Old Testament and their many failings, their many transgressions, God getting frustrated. It's a story about the relationship between God and humanity in many ways. That would be a much more proper definition of the Bible. Not some atheistic Jungian set of archetypes. Oh, it's the ladder. It's Jacob and the ladder, which correlates to Carl Jung and his shadow archetypes of the poopy butt. Yep. All right, so we're done. That's why I don't like Jordan Peterson. Feel free to leave your comments on why you think he's so profound and he's so... Oh, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. No, I do get it. I do get it. I was the 18-year-old. Wow, he's so smart. Wow, so profound. Now I have evolved. I have evolved. I am a butterfly. I'm a magic butterfly. And yeah, he's smart. I think he's got maybe a high IQ. I'm not going to pretend he doesn't. And if he wants to tell me about the psychological science, I'm all down to hear it. That's, I think, the proper interpretation for someone like Peterson. Is if he's speaking about something psychology related, you want to tell me how to psychoanalyze someone, or you want to explicate on the most recent psychological research and literature and what it has to say and what it means, go right the fuck ahead. That's your domain. You spent 30 years, 40 years doing that. Go do that. I don't want to hear you talk about the Bible. I don't want to hear you talk about conservatism. I don't want to hear you talk about politics or fat, vague Vogue magazine models. Fuck, can't speak. I don't want to hear you lecture me on being responsible when you had a single mother daughter and you barely even had 2 kids and you're not even religious. You don't even have a moral code and you're on drugs. So don't tell me about how to be responsible. But with that, we're going to head out, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.